बात ही नहीं करती थी, अब मेरे से बात हो जाएगी ना, फ्रेंडशिप हो रही है अब हमारी। मुझे फोन से मैंने बोला अच्छा मुझे आपका नंबर मिला, अब मैं आपको व्हाट्सएप पे
Radha Madhava Sanjari Hari Radha Madhava Sanjari Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Jana Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jai Satchidananda, Jai Satchidananda, Jai Satchidananda, Jai Satchidananda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Govinda, 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 Ora Premananda. Welcome everybody. This is anybody's first time today. First time to this temple, or first time to Hare Krishna meeting. Is it first time you've been to a Hare Krishna meeting at all?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So this is a standard program we have. Well, this is not a standard program actually, this is a special program. But the same format's the same as any other program. But just like any particular faith, they have specific days in the year which are seen as special, like in the Christian religion it's, you know, Christmas, Easter, Lent, like that. In the Muslim religion it's different fasting days, chief of which is Ramadan. I saw it on a bus going by the other day, Ramadan. It's getting popular. So, similar in this Vaishnava faith, Vaishnava means devotee of Vishnu, or another name for Vishnu, or a more intimate name for Vishnu is Krishna. So followers of Krishna or Vishnu are called Vaishnavas. And so this is a Vaishnava festival. And we specifically celebrate the appearance days and celebration days of those exceptional devotees and exceptional pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So whether we're Christian, Muslim or Hindu, it doesn't matter. If we're in the proper mood of trying to render service within the heart to the Supreme Lord, then He will give us good direction how to attain Him. Everything's dependent on our focus. What do we want? Krishna's, said in the Shastras, Sarva Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarva means everybody. Sukhi means happiness. Bhavantu, living entities. Let all living entities become happy. But, there is actually a formula for happiness. And so these different literatures, these different scriptures throughout the world are meant to bring us to that, very quickly to that point of real happiness. And what do we mean by real happiness? I think everybody really knows deep down, we may not know the philosophy, but we all want to be happy. I don't think there's anybody who wants to be miserable. I haven't come across anybody yet. So everybody's happy, and not just for a short while, but all the time. Because we're very greedy for happiness. This is the nature of the living entity of the soul. Why? Because that's the nature of Krishna. Krishna is full of bliss, full of happiness, eternally. And as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, that's our constitutional position. But I was reading today in the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, Prabhupada, our founder, Acharya, writes that everybody's very unhappy. He didn't say just unhappy, he said very unhappy. There's different shades of unhappiness, that's all. Relief from one level means happiness. But really, we're looking for that real bliss. And when we taste it, we think, that's what I'm looking for. And then we can understand what life is meant for. It's meant for this tasting this happiness all the time. So these pastimes are full of philosophy. We like the stories, we like, especially Nrsingadev, when I do Sankirtan on the street, I haven't done it for a while yet, but sometimes I'll go and distribute books, to find out the pulse of society, ask them what their interests are. What do you like reading? They usually say murder, gore, people, so, this pastime is just up their street. It's not murder, but it's like, it's really... I remember when we first came to this temple. But it wasn't, our temple president said, let's give everybody a break. When they come to the temple, they come in for relief, and they see Nrsingadev on the old thing. What? So he took it off for some time. It was difficult to explain the pastime of Nrsingadev to somebody who's completely new. But anyway, we'll try. We have to remember that Krishna is full of all qualities. And if we want to be angry, if we want to be happy, there's nobody can be happier than Krishna. If we want to be any particular quality, then Krishna's got it to the utmost. If we want to be angry, nobody can become more angry than Krishna. Because he has all qualities to the full extent. We have some limited qualities. Okay? So in this pastime, we'll read where it says, whatever mood we're in, go to Krishna. Okay, we'll start from the beginning of the 7th canto. Usually we don't do this, but we're going to do that tonight. So I'll just recite the verse. Sri Raja Uvacha Samak Priya Surita Brahman Bhutanam Bhagavan Swayam Indriyas Yarte Katam Daityam Avadit Vishamo Yata. This is Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, my dear Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, being everyone's well-wisher, is equal and extremely dear to everyone. How then did he become partial, like a common man, for the sake of Indra, and thus kill Indra's enemies? How can a person equal to everyone be partial to some and not to others, and inimical to others? We'll read that together. King Parikshit inquired, my dear Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, being everyone's well-wisher, is equal and extremely dear to everyone. How then did he become partial like a common man? For the sake of Indra, and thus kill Indra's enemies. How can a person equal to everyone be partial to some and inimical toward others? All right, we'll break it down. How? How then did he become partial like a common man? For the sake of Indra, and thus kill Indra's enemies. Is that where we are? No. How can a person equal to everyone be partial to some and inimical toward others? So short purport. In Bhagavad Gita 9.29, the Lord says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshasti na priyaha. I am equal to everyone, no one is dear to me, nor is anyone my enemy. In the previous canto, however, it has been observed that the Lord sided with Indra by killing the demons on his account. Ataputra diti sakra parshni grehena vishnuna. Therefore the Lord was clearly partial to Indra, although he is the supreme in everyone's heart. The soul is extremely dear to everyone, and similarly the supersoul is also dear to everyone. Thus there cannot be any faulty action on the part of the supersoul. The Lord is always kind to all living entities irrespective of form and situation. Yet he took the side of Indra just like an ordinary friend. This was the subject of Parikshit Maharaj's inquiry. As a devotee of the Lord, he knew very well that Krishna cannot be partial to anyone. But when he saw that Krishna acted as the enemy of the demons, he was somewhat doubtful. Therefore he posed this question to Sukadeva Goswami for a clearer answer. A devotee cannot accept that Lord Vishnu has material qualifications. Maharaj Parikshit knew perfectly well that Lord Vishnu, being transcendental, has nothing to do with material qualities. But to confirm his conviction, he wanted to hear from the authority Shukadeva Goswami. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Samastya katam vaishnyam. Since the Lord is equally disposed towards everyone, how can he be partial? Priyasam katam ashureshu prichabhava. The Lord, being the supersoul, is extremely dear to everyone. Why then should Lord display unsympathetic behaviour towards the asuras? That means demon. How is this impartial? Suridascha katamtesh asodharam. Since the Lord says that he is Suridam Sarvabhutanam, the well-wisher of all living entities, how could he act with partiality by killing demons? These questions arose in the heart of Parikshit Maharaj, and therefore he inquired from Shukadeva Goswami. Om Gyanti Mirandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastatya. Think of water. So good question. And when the times are difficult in this world, people tend to think, there's no God, why would he let this happen? And so it's very relevant to today. As faith can last while things are okay, but when things are really down, then if we're impious, we become an atheist. If we're pious, we become more attracted to the shelter of the Lord. And so he says that the answer is given later on in the Bhagavad, in the next few verses, that we are in the material world, we are the soul trapped within the body, and due to identification with the body, automatically we become in duality. Duality means we see things in relation to the body, his, mine, old, young, like this, good, bad. Whatever happens to the body which gives us some pleasure is good. If it doesn't give us pleasure, it's bad. And this is all due to our conditioning in the three modes of nature. This body is governed by the three modes of nature. So according to our particular situation within those modes, we'll say different things as good and different things as bad. Yeah? Have you noticed that? There's different standards in this world. So this is why, because we're identifying with the body. And so a pure devotee doesn't identify with the body, and therefore is equal to everybody. Why? Because Krishna is equal to everybody. He doesn't have a material body, so therefore he doesn't see, according to the dictates of the material energy, the three modes of nature, the body. He sees on the absolute platform, and therefore he treats everybody in an absolute way. And so a pure devotee also does that. He says everybody has his parts and parcels who are bewildered by the material energy. You know, somebody who's bewildered, we don't necessarily, we don't blame them or criticise them. If somebody's bewildered in mind, we actually feel a little bit sorry for them. Yeah? So that's Krishna's outlook. So Krishna's not partial to the demons, to Lord Indra and the demons who Lord Indra, the King of Heaven, is fighting. But he's giving equal opportunity for them to learn from their circumstance. The demons are acting wrongly, so they get a reaction which said, whoa, maybe I shouldn't do that. The demigods are acting correctly, so he's encouraging them, that's all. And it looks like one's getting a favour, one's not. So everybody in this world is ultimately getting the favour of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, he's not partial. But from a material point of view, we will see that this partiality. And not only that, we'll see that within devotees, some seem to get more help than others. So he seems to be partial again. We get the Lord's mercy, they say. Yeah? So is that partiality? It is in one respect. It's not partial by discrimination, but partial in the way that he'll actually say, okay, if you reciprocate in this way, I'll also reciprocate with you to the same degree. Yeah? And then later on in this first chapter, we're coming up to Nrsingadev soon, don't worry. Later on, everybody's going, came here to about Lord Nrsingadev. But later on in that chapter, it says, what about Shishupal then? You know, he was blaspheming Krishna every word. But then eventually Krishna took his life, and everybody saw in the assembly, rascal, I know where he's going. But his soul came out of the body, a big effulgence, and it merged into the Lord's body, and everything. And Maharaj used to say, what a rascal, how did he get that result? Why? Because he was chanting the names of Krishna. So whatever we're doing, akama sarva kama va, moksha kama udaradi, tivrina bhakti yogina, yajata parasham. Whatever we're doing in life, we add Krishna, and there'll be a good result. So what does that say about Krishna? Would we do that? It means that, you know, Krishna gives the benefit of the doubt in every situation. He sees the good. Even, and you know, aham aho bakiyam stanakala kutam. This is Putana. She was a witch, and she was sent by Kamsa to poison Krishna when he was a little baby. And when she you know, she became dressed like a beautiful woman. And when Mother Yashoda and the other gopis saw Putana, thought, wow, what a special lady. And they naturally just let her through, and she started to breastfeed Krishna with poison smeared on her breasts. But Krishna saw both things. But he saw that, actually, this is my nurse, this is my mother. She's come to feed me, so I'll reciprocate with that. So a devotee should remember that whatever we do, if we add Krishna, then, you know, eventually it's going to yield a good result. Because why? Because the name of Krishna and Krishna is non-different. And by remembering Krishna, it purifies the heart. So this is the process of devotional service. The worst thing that can happen is that we become, what's the worst thing that can happen to us in this world? It's one of the things that, you know, it's called lethargy. You know, I couldn't care less. You know, somebody who's remembering Krishna and he hates Krishna is better than somebody who's like, so, you know, he's just like neutral to everything. Because then he doesn't actually put Krishna in the equation. So we shouldn't do that in devotional service. We shouldn't be on the mechanical platform. We should be trying to put Krishna in the centre. Okay, it's coming up now. So, so Shishupal. So then Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami answered Parikshit by what I've just cited. Then he said, actually, Shishupal, he's got a special story. He was one of the incarnations of the Lord, of Jayam Vijay. Jayam Vijay was cursed by the 4 Kumaras in Vaikuntha by Krishna's arrangement. And so they were cursed to come to the material world and take 3 demoniac births. They could have 7 pious births or 3 demoniac births before the curse was up. So they chose, well, let's not be away for too long. So we'll undergo the 3 demoniac births. So this is where Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu came in. They were the first birth of Jayam Vijay. So this is how it led into the story, because at the end of the first chapter, Maharaj Parikshit asked, about Prahlad Maharaj. He was connected with Hiranyakashipu. How did he become such a great devotee? This is the whole purpose of the story. How did he become a great devotee? And so the story unfolds. That Hiranyaksha, his story was told in the 3rd canto. And then, how he was killed by the Lord. He was offering everybody a fight. And then Lord War came and eventually gave him that fight, and he lost. And so Hiranyaksha was killed. And so the 2nd chapter starts where Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha's relatives are mourning. They're crying, and his wife's crying, his mother's crying. And so Hiranyakashipu, he was actually well situated in philosophical understanding. This is strange, isn't it? He understood the nature of the soul. He understood the philosophy perfectly. Well, almost. He understood it in theory. And so to relieve them, he started preaching about we're not the body. And he gave all intricate arguments for a whole chapter, almost. And then he started relating to a story. Hiranyakashipu would have been a great, lecturer. And so he started talking about King Suryagya. Suryagya, he was in the Asina province of India. He was a great king. And in one battle, he lost his life. And so all the queens came out of the palace and they were mourning. And they were crying like anything. And it became time for him to be taken away for cremation. In India, it's very hot, so they don't leave cremation too long. And, they were crying so loud that Yamaraj could hear them in Yamaloka. I thought, what's going on? So he came to the earth planet dressed as a young boy. And he saw this scene and he started preaching to them. Isn't it strange that I'm not, a young boy, can understand this philosophy, but you're, experienced in years, but you can't understand. And so he started preaching about the same thing, about we're not the body, that we're going to die anyway. Why are we so concerned? This is the verse where it says the most amazing thing is that everybody is going to the court of Yamaraj, the court of death, but everybody's making plans to live here eternally. This is very, very strange. And so he gave that story of he was given the story of King Suryagya, and then within that story, Yamaraj, he started to tell about the story of the Kulinga bird. The Kulinga bird is like a pigeon. But, there was 2 Kulinga birds, everything's in pairs, and they were enjoying life. And there was a hunter waiting for them in the bushes. And the female bird became attracted to the hunter's nest. And so the hunter, immediately caught the female bird. And that was it. She was as good as dead. And so the male bird, he started lamenting like anything. And he was lamenting so much he forgot for his own safety. And then the hunter aimed his arrow and the male bird was finished. And so Yamaraj was making the point, don't lament, get on with life. You know, we don't know when it's us. And this is the point he was making to the queens. He goes into greater detail in the 11th canto about this particular pastime. But then the queens became convinced and they gave up their... This is a benefit of hearing this Vaishnava philosophy. It can cure all problems eventually. So they became freed from anxiety and fear and lamentation. And so they went to... And so then Hiranyakashipu then decided that now I'll go to the forest. He was extremely angry that Hiranyaksha, his brother, had been killed by Vishnu, and I'll become so powerful that nobody will be able to defeat me. And so he performed some really austere yajna. He went to the Mahendra Parvat, the mountains, Mahendra Parvat, and he was stood on one leg. Or was it tiptoes? He was stood on his tiptoes at least. I'm not sure whether it was one tiptoe or two. He got his hands in the air for thousands of years. He was determined. And at some point his body, the fire in his body became so powerful that woof, flames shot out of his head and they were scorching the upper planets. And so the demigods, they came and they were struggling. They thought, we better see Lord Brahma and see if Lord Brahma can put a stop to this. And so this is what Hiranyakashipu wanted. He wanted Lord Brahma to appear because he's the chief living entity in the universe. And if you want a boon, you go to a very powerful person. So he couldn't get any more powerful than Lord Brahma. And when Lord Brahma came, he asked for benedictions. He says, okay, you can stop your austerities now. He says, what can I do for you? He says, I want to become immortal. Lord Brahma says, I'm not immortal, how can I make you immortal? And so, Hiranyakashipu, Duskritina Muda, Duskritina means misplaced intelligence, very intelligent, but misplaced. And so he started to, how can I get around this immortality? And they thought, okay. And he went through everything in his mind. I won't be killed on the land or in the air, in the sea, or, that's three, okay. I won't be killed by any man or any animal. I won't be killed in the day or night. What else is there? I won't be come inside a place or outside a place. Hey?
Any weapon or day or night. Any weapon.
What was that one? I forgot.
Any weapon. No weapons.
Oh, weapon. I won't be killed by any weapon. More.
Day and night.
We've done that one. Day and night. Hey? Nothing living or dead.
On the land or in the sky.
Yeah, we've done that one.
Inside or outside.
Anyone created by Brahma.
Anything created by Brahma. Not many get that one, do they? And so Brahma said, fair enough, I can do that. Tatastu. And then he said, I want the 8 mystic siddhis. That means you can just about do anything in this world, relatively speaking. Smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. You can create a planet. You can do anything. And also, he wanted to have dominion over Dhruvaloka, a spiritual planet. But I don't think he'll get that one. But anyway, to all intents and purposes, he was, immortal. So he just conquered everything. He just gave everybody a hard time. The Brahmins who were performing sacrifice, the people, he persecuted them, stopped them performing yajnas.
And I think he also wanted that, like how Brahma is revered by everybody and all the glory that he gets and all the fame and everything that Brahma has, that I should get that.
Did he?
Let me get that all the glory and how everybody is revering Lord Brahma as the supreme person on this planet, in this planetary system. Let me have all that opulence and glory.
Yeah, he wanted to be number one, definitely. That's material consciousness. He wasn't, even though he was getting this benediction from Brahma, he wasn't grateful because he wanted to take his place. So that's the difference between Vaishnava, devotee of the Lord, and a materialistic person. Ultimately, material philosophy is get on in life, and it doesn't matter, once you've got the information, it doesn't matter who you tread on. But, spiritual philosophy is a little different. We're grateful for whatever help we get. And so, so Brahma left, and Hiranyakashipu started terrorizing everybody, and the Brahmins cursed him. Everybody was cursing him. Nobody liked him. And eventually, what happened next? Anybody? I can't remember the next step, just a minute.
He terrorized the universe, stops all the sacrifices.
Yeah, we've done that one. He stopped all the...
Decided to, but he's trying to now kill his own son, because his own son is saying that the Lord is Lord Hari, and he is saying, well, no, I'm the Lord, and so he's quite unhappy with that situation, while his Prahlad Maharaj's mother is his favorite queen, but he's not happy with that situation, and he's sending him away to school where he can maybe make a demon out of him, but it's not working. So that's when he starts.
He sends his son to school, and he mentions that he starts tormenting his son, and so this is when Parikshit Maharaj said, how could he torment a pure devotee of the Lord? How would that harm? Because Krishna protects his devotees. And so then he went into this story about how Prahlad Maharaj was at school, and the two teachers of Shukracharya, two sons called Sanda and Amarka, they were given so many teachings about diplomacy, different kinds of materialistic philosophy, as well as the usual things. And at some point they started mentioning about friends and enemies. And Prahlad Maharaj said, I don't see friends and enemies. I don't understand this philosophy. Anyway, they tried to change him, but they couldn't. And anyway, at some point, Hiranyakashipu sent for Prahlad Maharaj, and he sat him on his lap and said, my dear boy, what's the best thing you've learnt at school? And he said, what's that verse? Nodvai vijayate. He said that those who are too absorbed in material life should go to the forest and perform, penance and tapasya and worship Lord Vishnu. Better go to Vrindavan. And Hiranyakashipu, young boy, 5 years old, he started laughing. Who's taught this to this boy? He's been listening to some Vaishnavas who sneaked into the camp. Take him away and, retrain him. Make sure he doesn't get the association of any Vaishnava. So he was pretty light-hearted about that one. And of course, Sandra and Amarka started questioning, where did you get this knowledge from? And they just kept getting philosophy back. And they became really disturbed. But anyway, they taught him to the best of their ability, and they came back before Hiranyakashipu again. And tell me, tears running from his eyes, and they were wetting the face of Prahlad Maharaj. Such a soft-hearted soul, eh? Amazing, isn't it? It's material affection. We can have material affection. But is it actually real? It looks real. It feels real. But is it? We'll see in the next sentence. Is that Prahlad Maharaj answered. It said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he mentioned all the 9 processes. One who takes to this, he's really learned and he's achieved the real goal of life. What? And he threw him off his lap. And he started to chastise Sandra and Amarka. Sandra and Amarka were in big trouble. And they started to, beseech Hiranyakashipu, but it's not our fault. And they explained things. And so Hiranyakashipu decided that, this traitor in the family would have to be dealt with in a very severe way. So he ordered immediately his cohorts, all the demons, kill him. There's tears gliding from his face, maybe less than a minute ago. And now he wants to kill his son. So, this is material world. Nothing's real. It's just temporary. This is what Prabhupada says. In a moment it can change. And so, they tried to kill him. How many ways did they try to kill him? Any examples? Threw him off a mountain. Tried to be bitten by snakes. What else? Boiling water. Tried to boil him alive. Under the feet of elephants. Anyway, it goes on and on. He says there were thousands of different ways they tried to kill him. And at the end of it, Hiranyakashipu, he couldn't believe it. He was really disturbed and upset. He was actually morose that he couldn't kill his son. And Sandra and Amarka, they had to come to him and cheer him up a little bit. He said, come on, Hiranyakashipu, you can do better than that. And they told him that, in time, he's a young boy, he's 5 years, he'll forget all this. We keep training him. Eventually it'll be cleared out. And it'll be forgotten about. And so Hiranyakashipu took heart. And so then later on, as soon as Sandra and Amarka went out of the classroom, Prahlad Maharaj was preaching to his friends. And eventually they became advanced, they became Bhagavats by his preaching. Sandra and Amarka didn't know what to do. So we better go and surrender to Hiranyakashipu and tell him what's going off. And so they went to Hiranyakashipu and they threw themselves at his feet and said, we can't do anything. The whole class are actually Vaishnavas now. And so then Hiranyakashipu flipped, is that the right word? He really got angry. And so he went into the classroom and he started blaspheming Prahlad Maharaj, and he said, such words that are coming from your lips are actually coming from the lips of somebody who was about to die. And so every time he opened his mouth, Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj actually defeated him with philosophy. And so he was getting angrier and angrier. And he said, where are you getting this power from? He said, I'm getting it from the same place that you get it. I'm getting it from the same place that everybody gets it. That's from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, if the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all so powerful, let him protect you now. Is he in this pillar? And he struck the pillar. And there was this... It says this noise was so deep, it nearly cracked the covering of the universe. And everybody was, what? Then the pillar, broke open. And this unusual being came out. He says his mane was as white as snow. His nostrils were like caves. His mouth was like a cave. His ears didn't move. But his tongue was like a dueling sword. And, he had many arms, and he was just slaughtering all the demons, one after another. And then Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, this is the Lord Vishnu who sent this being to kill me. But he was thinking, who can kill me? Who can kill me? And so he took heart, he got all of the shield and the sword, and he flew at Hiranyakashipu. And they were fighting. They were fighting and fighting. And then Lord Vishnu got hold of him. Hiranyakashipu got hold of it. Nrsimhadev got hold of Hiranyakashipu, and he was throwing his arms around, and all the demigods, yes! They came from behind the clouds. And then he let him go. All the demigods, whoa! They went behind the clouds again. Now if he sees us cheering and he wins, we're in big trouble. So they weren't sure, this is like not on the topmost platform of devotional service. And anyway, so Prabhupada elaborates in the purport, he says, this is material life. The demons flourish for some time. People say that when you meet them, not they? How is it? Such a a rascal is enjoying life. There's no reaction. So this is what Hiranyakashipu was doing. He took heart from being captured and let go. He thought, this being is frightened of me. And so that's what Nrsimhadev wanted to do. He wanted to make him feel valiant and have a good fight. But in due course of time, when the time was right, it was dusk, the sun was setting, so it wasn't day, it wasn't night. He was in the arch of the house where you go outside, so it wasn't inside or outside. And so he got hold of Hiranyakashipu and he threw him on his lap. And then he pierced him with his nails, which are not dead or alive. And so he fulfilled Hiranyakashipu's desire, and he also fulfilled the desires of the Vaishnavas. And so then, of course, Nrsimhadev was actually still angry. And he was, the demons, they were so stupid. After seeing their leader killed in such a way, they still kept attacking. And he was just slaughtering everybody in sight. And eventually, some of them ran away, they gave up. And he was just sat in the doorway, and he was just like so angry. And nobody dared go near. So even Lakshmi, who resides on his chest, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, she wouldn't go near. And they started offering, petitioning prayers, trying to cool down his anger. And it tells you how Lakshmi, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, the Vidyadharas, the Charanas, the Kinnaras, all the different, sub-demigods. And the Yakshas, everybody offered prayers, but he still wasn't pacified. He was so angry. And then the Lord Brahma understood that the only way that he'll be pacified is if his pure devotee approaches him. So he asked Prahlad Maharaj to go to Hiranyakashipu. And, Prahlad, he had full faith. He had full faith. Shraddha Shabdi Vishwas Kahi Sudhiranischai. Krishna Bhakti Sarva Kama Kama Kritahai. He knew that if I surrender to the Supreme Lord, that, whatever is actually His will, I have nothing to actually worry about. Everything will be provided. And so he went to the Supreme Lord, and then Nrsimhadev looked at him, started to cool down a bit. And then when he offered full obeisance, as he was getting up, he put his hand on his head. And immediately, Prahlad was imbued with Brahmagya, transcendental knowledge. And he started offering these philosophical prayers, Vaishnava prayers, one after another. And so this is it. When we surrender to the Supreme Lord, Tesham Satsta Yuktanam, Bhajadam Priti Purvakam. So even if we don't actually have the intelligence by our material calculations, if we have that mood of surrender, Krishna will give us all the intelligence we need. And this is what he gave Prahlad Maharaj. And the first prayer he gave was that I'm not proud of being able to offer these prayers. So this is one of the first symptoms of a Vaishnava, that he understands that we're actually nothing without the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, why does he become empowered like Prahlad Maharaj? Because he understands at one point And he doesn't desire anything as a result. He's got full faith. I don't need to do anything. I just need to serve. And whatever Krishna sends, that's okay. Prabhupada had the same idea. And look at the success. Every successful devotee who preaches, they're in this mood. You'll find that they're very laid back in one respect, that I'm just trying to do something, I don't know. Even Niranjan Swami in Ukraine, the Ukraine festival, the Black Sea festival, it's renowned all over the world. They got up to 12,000 going at the last one, and then of course the authorities, they got a little bit nervous and they stopped the festival. Actually the war started. But I was once listening to him, he was talking to some devotee, he says, I don't know what's happening. He says, I'm just going there and everything's happening. We don't have to do everything. We just have to be a pure devotee. We just have to do the right things. We just have to not be fazed by false prestige. Then Krishna can give it us without us becoming puffed up. And we can also imbue others with the same understanding so they don't misuse it. Everything can be done by Krishna. Who are we? Let's just become a simple devotee who surrenders to the Supreme Lord, and then Krishna can use it in so many ways. 5 years old, Prahlad Maharaj, and yet he could do more than Hiranyakashipu. He could do more than Lord Brahma, the leader of the universe. So this is the potency of devotional service. So he carried on offering prayers. We'll have questions at the end. He carried on offering prayers, and said, I'm not afraid of material existence. He said, that's the second prayer. I'm not afraid of material existence, because wherever I go, I can remember you. He said, but these people are afraid of material existence. He says, so the first prayer, so we understand by remembering Krishna, we become fearless. And then in the next prayer he says that, and I'm not bothered about myself. I'm not bothered about my own salvation. He said, I'm just bothered about all these living entities in this material world. I feel sorry out of love for them. He actually feels affection for Krishna's parts and parcels who are struggling so much in this material energy. And this is the mood of Prabhupada, isn't it? This is why he was successful in preaching. He actually felt for everybody. And when we read Prabhupada's books, we can feel that. Has anybody felt that through Prabhupada's books? I remember when I first read The Science of Self-Realization, I thought, this person actually cares about me. And it was just words on a page. And so it comes through. That's how we're successful in preaching. What's the key? The key is compassion. People feel compassion. And we can have genuine compassion when we purify ourselves. Otherwise it doesn't work. Not so well anyway, for some time. And so Prahlad Maharaj had genuine compassion, and he was feeling for the suffering of the living entities. One day, one of Prabhupada's disciples said, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes I feel so sorry for the living entities, the conditioned souls in this world. And he said, only sometimes? That's how you should feel all the time. He was once driving the car, Prabhupada, and he started crying. There was tears running down his face, and the devotee said, what's the matter, Prabhupada? He says, and he was looking out the window at people going about their daily activities. He says, they're suffering so much. So in that condition, we don't make friends or enemies. If somebody who's mad starts to blaspheme us, do we get affected? So, everybody's mad in this material world. So should we be affected? Everybody's not necessarily mad in the way that we consider, or witches consider, but madness means that we don't know things as they are. What we call a mad person, he doesn't know how to function. He doesn't know what to do. But, in real sense, everybody in the material world, they don't know their real identity. They don't know what they should be doing. They don't know why they should be doing it. So therefore they do things which have no benefit to them. This is called madness. He said everybody's in this situation. So he said that everybody Prahlad Maharaj contacted, he was so full of bliss and happiness that they all automatically became full of bliss and happiness. And I've just got a few things I'd like to read about this pastime, or some lessons from this pastime. Is that okay? As we were talking about Nrsingadev deity in Mayapur. Has anybody been to Mayapur? You've seen the deity? So there's a lot of stories behind the deity. Do you know that? One story I remember, I can't remember them all, but one Pujari. He was a young Pujari, and they'd given him the service of worshipping Lord Nrsingadev, and it's like you've got to be careful when you're worshipping Lord Nrsingadev, And so he's a brahmachari. I think it's only renunciants who worship Lord Nrsingadev, is it? Is it? No? I don't know, I'm not sure. But anyway, he was a brahmachari, and he was like, he was frightened every day to come before the deity. And one night he took rest, and all of a sudden he woke up with this heavy load on his chest. And it was Lord Nrsingadev. He says, why are you frightened? I don't like it when people are frightened of me. Don't be frightened. And he said it a few times, and of course then the dream went away, and he woke up, and he was so shocked he ran straight outside. He was running up and down Mayapur in his coping. So Lord Nrsingadev is very merciful, actually. There's another one when was it Jananivash and what was the other one? Pankajangari. They were having they tried to find a starpaner. Starpaner is one who carves the deity. Well, nobody would do it. I'm not carving Lord Nrsingadev. They wouldn't do it. He's too dangerous. And eventually they went to one place in Orissa, and this starpaner, he said, I had a dream actually about this. He says, I'll carve it. And so he started to carve the deity, and then when he'd finished the deity, he put it in this hut to store it, and the hut burst on in flames. And he rang the twins up. He said, I think you better come and collect your deity. I think he wants to move. Pushta Krishna, this is one of Prabhupada's early sannyasis. Is it possible to reform a person even against their will? Prabhupada. He failed. And Prahlad tried to make his father a theist. He failed. So unless one agrees you cannot turn him, it is not possible. 5-year-old boy, staunch devotee, and the powerful Hiranyakashipu, father, who is threatening with his life. And so many ways he tried that you become atheist, godless, otherwise I shall kill you. He did not agree, and similarly, the son also solicited the father that you have got so much power by the grace of God. Why you are becoming atheist? Both of them could not turn to the other side. Prahlad remained Prahlad, and Hiranyakashipu remained Hiranyakashipu. Morning walk, October the 17th, 1975 in Johannesburg. So, we can read this philosophy over and over again, but, the whole point is to become It's to develop, what's the word? Not determination. What's another word? Conviction, that's the word. The conviction, who said that? Oh, very good. Develop a conviction. This is what I want to do. And then we can do anything. If we've got the conviction, we'll do anything. We'll start chanting 16 rounds, following four-legged life principles, fulfilling everything that's asked of us, because we've got the conviction. So that conviction, where does it come from? Eh? Sadhu comes from constantly associating with those devotees who are practicing. It'll rub off. It without any extra endeavour. You show me a man's company and I'll show you the man. So, any questions? You've got a question?
I've got three actually. First was when you said Hiranyakashipu started doing his austerities, the fire started coming out of his head. Now, is that symbolic of something, or is it really that the fire was coming out of his?
Yeah, it was coming out of his head.
It is actual fire coming out of his head.
Yeah, that's what it says.
And then why did Lord Narasimha take such a long time to make an appearance with regards to protecting Prahlad? Is the other one, because he was being tortured so many times by his father. So is that something that we have to just stick with the story the way it goes? I mean, with the events that how it goes.
Why did he wait so long?
Yeah, why did he wait so long to come to protect Prahlad? Why didn't he come sooner?
Because that was his plan. He wanted to build up the expectation, and he'd got philosophical points to make on the way. And he also was reciprocating with Hiranyakashipu. He was reciprocating with Prahlad Maharaj. He had a chance to show that his Vaishnava qualities. Hiranyakashipu had a chance to show his demoniac qualities. So, the all pastime is so that we can read and learn from it. Otherwise, Krishna could just stop anybody from becoming demoniac. He doesn't have to tolerate it. He could just put us in suspended animation for eternity. We could be in...
So he was developing the Vaishnava qualities of Prahlad more and more.
Eh?
He was developing the Vaishnava qualities of Prahlad more and more. Is that what he was trying to do?
He was revealing those qualities.
Qualities,
he was revealing
yeah.
the bad qualities. He's revealing, the whole pastime is revealing a certain point in certain points in philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline is because, we like stories. As soon as you say, I've got a story, yep, everybody wakes up, a story.
Mm.
And then, in that story, it's got some philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just like philosophy, very few people will be able to follow it for very long. Like Vedanta Sutra, it's in couplets, it's very condensed philosophy in short, what they call them, stanzas.
Mm-hmm.
But, so Vyasadevi expanded it into a story of Srimad Bhagavatam.
And the last question is that when Lord Narasimha was full of anger, why couldn't the demigods calm him down? Why did the devotee have to come? Lord Shiva is a great devotee of Krishna, so are Brahma and all others. Why could not they calm his anger down?
Why couldn't you come? Sorry, I missed that.
Why didn't Lord Shiva came and calm him down, as he's a very
Why couldn't he calm him down? Because it's showing different levels of devotion. When we have full devotion and full faith, we just know this is Krishna, and I'm not bothered. What form he comes in, I just want to actually please him. So I saw him as a friend. He didn't see the externals. If the Lord, it sometimes comes as a tortoise. It'd be different to reciprocate with a tortoise. But a pure devotee he's ecstatic at seeing that form. because he realizes it's Krishna. But the others, they weren't necessarily on the same platform. They had some reservations. And so therefore, those reservations were keeping full surrender. If we have reservations in the heart, it'll definitely have full faith.
So Lord Shiva, Brahma, they don't have full faith in Krishna, but Prahlad has got full faith and he can calm him down, but the others can't.
In this pastime, that's what was portrayed. Lord Shiva is, very advanced Vaishnava. It says, Vaishnavam Yatashyambhu. He's the most advanced Vaishnava. So how is it that, why doesn't it say Prahlad's the most advanced? Because in this pastime, Krishna wanted it to be that way. Bring it on. Let everybody hear.
Prahlad Maharaj's last life. What was he in last life that he got this and this? He became Prahlad in this life.
Was he in his previous life?
Yes. I mean,
I don't know. It'll tell you in the Sugar Purana. Was the counterpart. Anything else? So we're bang on time. It's 20 past. We're running according to schedule. Nishringa Chatur Rasi Mahamahotsava ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande. So now we're going to have Kirtan. And actually, just one more point to that lady's question is that actually, Lord Maharaj, you just be quiet a minute. Haribol, actually, Lord Maharaj and Shiva, because if we go to the Bhagavatamrita, it explains all the different places that Gop Kumar went as he was advancing, going through the different Vaishnavas, and Lord and Prahlad Maharaj, he was considered more advanced than Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Karine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Astatya Deshutarine Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare, Gaura 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 Hare, Gaura 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 Hare, Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare, Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Ashtota Satrashishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Hem Seho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Radha Sukasti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navit Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Muna Mai Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande! All glories to the Assembly of God. All glories to the Assembly of God. All glories to the Assembly of God. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gaur and Gaur.
Hare Krishna. Nice nourishing prayers now, so I request all the devotees very peacefully sit down on the floor. If you can't find a space here, the aarti will be relayed in the next room as well. So it will be a very wonderful nourishing prayers. Take a breath and sit down very nicely and with a very deep meditation over the nourishing prayers. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Nrsimha Chaturdasi Mahamahotsav ki. I would like to thank His Holiness Dayananda Maharaj for enlightening us with a wonderful lecture and also very wonderful kirtan, Vesti kirtan. Everyone danced very nicely. So thank you very much, Maharaj. 3 loud Haribols to His Holiness Dayananda Maharaj. So also thank you very much for attending this program and enjoying hearing the class very attentively and dancing very nicely. I can even see, Ian Prabhu coming from a long distance. 2 hours, isn't it? Your drive. Yeah. So like this, even though today is a working day, so you all decided to attend this program, took the mercy of Lord Nrsimha Bhagavad. Thank you very, very much. So quick announcements. So tomorrow, 3rd Saturday, every month, 1st Saturday and 3rd Saturday morning we have Mangalarti program. So all the devotees, they will attend. So tomorrow also morning 5 o'clock we have Mangalarti program, followed by Tulasi Puja in a complete morning program. And then again Bhagavatam class by His Holiness Dayananda Maharaj. And Prasadam and the Weekend Warriors team, they go to city center to distribute books and for Harinam. So I request all of you to attend for Mangalarti program tomorrow. Remember it's every 1st Saturday and 3rd Saturday. Okay. If you can't attend at 5 o'clock, at least come by 7 o'clock and chant with the devotees and attend Guru Puja and then Bhagavatam class and Prasad, breakfast Prasad. Okay. So don't miss. So tomorrow morning 5 o'clock we have full morning program. And the next one is we have Manchester Radhayatra. When is it? Where is it? 26th Sunday, yeah, bank holiday Sunday, Manchester Radhayatra in Cathedral Gardens. Okay, so don't miss the program. It's a very wonderful. This time we have a palanquin procession also, and we have a wonderful monks, His Holiness Dayananda Maharaj and His Holiness Jananda Maharaj. They are also attending to bless us. You will definitely enjoy a wonderful Radhayatra. Yeah, it's 26th Sunday, bank holiday Sunday at Cathedral Gardens. Starts at 12 o'clock. Okay, so don't miss the program. And we have guest program.
We have Gita tomorrow. Available on both.
Okay, tomorrow 3-hour Kirtan in Veda Mandir, Bolton. Okay, so those who want to attend, please take address from Virendra Prabhu. Yeah, tomorrow 3-hour Kirtan in Bolton, Veda Mandir. Okay, and today feast is sponsored by Feast and Flowers. Is sponsored by Gaurati Mataji. Mataji, thank you very much for your contribution. 3 big Haribols to Gaura Hari Mataji. So that's it. Now Prashadam prayers and Prashadam.
महाप्रसादे गोविंदे नमो ब्राह्मणी वैष्णवे स्वल्प पुण्यावृतं राजन् विश्वासो नैव्रजायते शरीरार विद्याजाल जड़ेन्द्रियताहे काल जीवे फेले विषय सागरे तार मध्ये जीवाती लोभो मासु दुर्मति ताके जेता कठिन संसारे कृष्ण बड़ा दयामय गौरी बार जीव जाय सौ प्रसादन दिलो भाई शयनामृत पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमी राखो श्री चैतन्य निताय जय निमाय जय निताय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री राधा गोकुलानंद श्री पंचतत्व श्री नरसिंहदेव महाप्रसादम की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की प्रसादम awaits next door. Wait long.
All right. I'll lead you.